So let's take a look at a story related to origin of Gayatri. As you all know, we have lots of Puranas, and sometimes the version of the story in one Purana could differ from another Purana, or the same story could have many versions. So we are going to look at two stories related to Gayatri's origin. So the first story comes in Padma Purana or Skanda Purana. There are minor differences between how the story is told in those two Puranas, but we'll look at a common version there. So this story is set in the time of immediately after the Varaha Avatara of Vishnu. So we all know that the demon stole the earth, and Vishnu had to take the Varaha Avatara to find the earth and restore it. And around the same time, there was a demon called Vajranabha who was also causing a lot of problems, and Brahma himself fought with him. And at that time, three lotus petals from Brahma's lotus fell. They got cut and they fell when Brahma was fighting with Vajranabha, and they took the form of a river called Pushkar. So now Brahma was very concerned. He got creation under control. He knows how to create, what to create, etc. But now he is worried about the order within the worlds he's creating. Because as the demons are coming up, he's seeing that behavior of them wanting more, the greed, the jealousy, etc., which is causing instability or some agitation within the worlds he's creating. So Brahma is now more concerned about how to protect order in this universe, how to ensure that things are going as per the dharma. And so it's becoming very clear for him that there needs to be a protector of this universe. And Brahma was very thankful to Vishnu for coming to the aid in finding the earth. So then Brahma decides Vishnu is the right person to protect everything that he's creating. So Brahma decided that he will create a big yajna, he'll do a big yajna, and he will request Vishnu to become the protector of the universe. And that was a way of formally asking and accepting. And Vishnu also seemed to be someone who wanted to protect the universe. He already came to the aid in Varaha Avatara. So as soon as this thought occurred for Brahma that he should do a yajna, and through that yajna he should thank Vishnu for the Varaha Avatara, but at the same time ask him to continue his protection for the universe, immediately Brahma decided, find the next best time and we are going to go conduct this sacrifice. So then he called together a few priests who were supposed to make the arrangements for the sacrifice. And immediately all arrangements started happening. The priests assembled, they put that, word was sent out that the sacrifice is going to happen. So all the devas, gandharvas, yakshas, even demons, everybody started showing up because it's Brahma's sacrifice. It's a big deal. So everybody came to the sacrifice, and it's for protection and to maintain order within this universe. So at that time, all the arrangements were made. Shiva was there, Vishnu was there. So everybody was assembled, and it was time to start the sacrifice. Now, Brahma himself was going to do the sacrifice. So he is the karta of that sacrifice. And anyone who is doing a sacrifice, if they are married, they have to sit with their wife. Now, Brahma was already married to Savitri, and they had several children. But unfortunately, at the time the sacrifice was happening, Savitri was not available. It could be because this started so suddenly. Savitri was aware of the yajna, but she was also trying to collect all her friends like Gauri, Lakshmi, etc. And she was taking care of things to be done, etc. And so she was not available. But this sacrifice, in order for it to give the right results, had to be done at the auspicious time, and time was slipping away. And they didn't know what to do. Brahma sent a person to go call Savitri, but she said, no, ask them to wait, I'll come. And then he came back and reported that. And Brahma got very upset. He thought, she doesn't understand the importance of it. And she was not to be found anywhere. She's not available. They don't know when she will show up. So Brahma immediately decided you know what, let me get a wife for the sake of this sacrifice so that I can do it in the right time. So he looks and he turns around and he sees Indra there, and he tells Indra, please go get me a wife who can just sit next to me for the sake of this sacrifice. So Indra, after having been given the job, he wants to find the best woman to sit next to Brahma, to become the wife of Brahma. And so he is searching in all the worlds, and in the earth, he sees a woman who looks very beautiful, and she also looks very divine. And she is in the cowherd clan. And so, like the Ayarpadi clan, right? Krishna, where he was born, similarly, she is in that. And she is taking the cows for grazing. So, she's always following the cows. And Indra looks at her and thinks, oh, this girl is ideal to become Brahma's wife. And cows are sacred in Sanatana Dharma. And anyone who follows behind the cow, if even the dirt from the cow's foot falls on us, they are supposed to be acquiring virtue. So you're purified when you walk behind the cow. So this girl, for her entire life, has always been walking behind the cow. So therefore, Indra deems her to be virtuous. And so he decides that she is the right wife for Brahma. And he goes to her, and he wants to take her with him. And this girl now is very scared. She's sitting there near a hill, just watching the cows graze. All of a sudden, this handsome looking man, who also seems very powerful, comes, and then he is now trying to abduct her. So she's scared and she's screaming out and she's saying, Dad, Mom, brother, please help me. Somebody help me. This man is trying to kidnap me. And then Indra says, you know what, I'm not trying to kidnap you. Please stop yelling. But she doesn't listen. He is kidnapping her. So she's yelling. And then she turns to Indra and she says, look, if you want to marry me, if you like me, you please come with me to my house. You ask my dad for marriage, and he will gladly accept. And but please don't do anything to me that is untoward. I don't want to lose any name in my clan. And if you did something to me, then everybody will look down upon me. So please don't do anything to me. You marry me, and I'll, that is okay. And then immediately Indra realizes what was going through her head and says, no, 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 I'm not taking you for marrying. But there is another person who wants a wife, and you seem to be ideal, and that's why I'm taking. The girl is now confused. But in the meantime, Indra is not wasting any time, so he took her to the place where the sacrifice is happening. And then as they land in that place, he points her towards Brahma and says, that's the person who wants to marry you. And this girl looks at Brahma, and Brahma is sitting there. Immediately one look, you can say he's a powerful person. But at the same time, there is such calm in his face. And so she's thinking, oh, this must be a great guy. He wouldn't get upset, angry, or mad at me. And he also seems like someone who's powerful. And then she comes to know he is Brahma. He is the creator of the world. So now this girl is thinking, this is a blessing. For a cowherd girl like me, marrying somebody of this status is a great thing. So she immediately says, okay, fine, I'll marry him. And as soon as she gives her consent, Indra asks her to go sit next to Brahma. And then Brahma is looking at this girl and he thinks, oh, she looks like a good woman, a virtuous woman. So Brahma is also okay to marry her. So as soon as they both give consent for the marriage, Vishnu says, Brahma, you should do a Gandharva type of marriage. A Gandharva type of marriage does not have any major rituals. So he is immediately in need of a wife. So both the girl and Brahma get married by the Gandharva marriage. And so Brahma names her Gayatri. And as soon as she becomes the wife of Brahma, she is getting more powers also. Now she has become Gayatri. And they go ahead and conduct the sacrifice at the right time. And now Vishnu has agreed to be the protector. But as the sacrifice was happening, remember the girl was screaming, right? Father, mother, brother. Now the cowherd clan has got to know that one of the girls was abducted by somebody who was handsome and powerful. So they somehow find out, and they also come to the place where the sacrifice is happening. And as the sacrifice was proceeding, they tried to interject. And then Vishnu talks to them, and Vishnu tells the father of Gayatri that they were in need of a wife for Brahma. It is very important. It is a big sacrifice. All the devas and the gods, everybody wants the sacrifice to happen, and it's because of your daughter we are able to proceed with it. So please don't create any problems. You let your daughter continue, and she is married to Brahma, and this is a great thing for you all. And then he says, if you don't create any problems, when I take an avatar, I will be born in the cowherd clan. I will become part of the cowherd clan, and that's how I'll be known in the world. So then the Gayatri's father thinks about it and thinks that, what, for Vishnu to be born in the cowherd clan will be such a great blessing. And it looks like his daughter is properly married and is helping with some sacrifice. So he was convinced and he said, okay, that's fine, she can stay here. So now the consent of the parents is also done. So everybody is happy, this sacrifice is all done. And that's when Savitri comes in. And Savitri comes in, she realizes that the sacrifice is done. And more than that, to her shock, she's seeing another girl sitting next to Brahma. There's a beautiful girl, very young, and she's sitting next to Brahma. And Savitri feels completely betrayed because she's married to Brahma. They have several children, and she can't imagine why Brahma would have suddenly married someone else. And so she walks up to Brahma. She's very angry. She's saying, what's the explanation for this? Why did you go marry another girl? And then Brahma is telling her, look, it was time for the sacrifice to happen. And I sent messengers to you and you weren't showing up. And so I went ahead and married another girl. That's it. Savitri felt completely betrayed. All the time that she spent with him was useless. Because just like that, he replaced her just because she didn't show up on time. So Savitri got very upset. And she said, you stoop so low, you're the creator of the world, you're the creator of the universe, and you have such lowly thoughts that just because I don't show up on time, you go ahead and marry another young girl. And she says, you must be having all bad thoughts, right? And what kind of a world will be that you create, right? One with the bad thoughts can only create a bad world. And so she says that, for you doing such things to me, I curse you now that you will never be worshipped by anybody because you're not worthy of worship. You just betrayed your wife just like that. So Brahma is stunned, but at the same time he realizes that marrying another girl just because of this was not a right thing to do. And then she turns towards Indra and she says, if he asked you to go get a girl to marry, Indra, why did you oblige? Don't you know it is not right when you're married to marry another woman? Why did you not stop? And then you didn't stop, but instead you went and aided him. You went and found the girl. And so she said, that was a very weak thing to do. You didn't show strength of character. You should have stood up to Brahma and say, no, you have a wife, Savitri. You should not marry another woman. But you didn't do that. So you didn't show strength. And therefore, she cursed him also. And she said, you will become someone who's always weak. You cannot win over your enemies. You cannot do anything powerful. So from now on, your position will always be weak in any situation. Then she turned towards Vishnu. Remember, Vishnu was the one who formalized the marriage. He said, by Gandharva type, you do the marriage. So she turned to him and she said, you should have also said good words to Brahma. Instead, you egged him on and you said, oh, go and marry this woman and formalize the marriage with Gandharva way. Do you understand how I'm feeling losing my husband to another woman? Do you understand the pain of that loss? And therefore, Savitri cursed Vishnu. And she said, when you take an avatara, you will lose your wife so that you can understand the pain of separation. And then she turned towards all the Brahmins who were in the sacrifice. And she said, as Brahmins, you're all supposed to always tell everyone what is the right thing to do. Even if it is Brahma himself, you should have told him when you have one wife, you should not marry another girl. But instead, you all became order takers. Brahma told you to do something, you just did it. So you all completely forgot your duty and you just did what was told. And because of that, I curse you that you will all always remain in poverty. Even if you learn everything, you will not have enough money and you will always be dependent on another person to even give you food. You can't earn enough money. So she is saying she cursed everybody and she left that place. And Gayatri was looking at all of this. Of course, Gayatri understood the feelings of Savitri, but she also saw that all these people were trying to do the sacrifice at the right time because they wanted the protection of the world, the universe. There was law and order that was beginning to crumble, and there was, everybody was not always remaining true. Greed, jealousy, the want for power, pride, everything was raising with the asuras. So they had to bring some balance, and that's why this sacrifice had to be conducted. So Gayatri could see both sides of it, and therefore at that point Gayatri became the Gayatri Devi, and she wanted to lessen the impact of this curse, and therefore she became the giver of boons. And so she turned to Brahma and she said that once a year you will be worshipped in the earth. And then she looked at Indra and said, even though you'll be in a weak situation, you'll be able to get the help of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and with that you can win over your enemies. And then she turned to Vishnu and she said that, even though you lose your wife, you will get her back. And then she looked at all the Brahmins and she said that if you chant Gayatri mantra and if you constantly meditate upon me, then all your sins will be removed. You will remain pure souls, and I'll also ensure that you have the required food, the wealth that is needed for you to sustain your life. So saying, Gayatri became the giver of boons, and that's who is Gayatri mantra. And it said that anyone who chants Gayatri mantra is chanted as japam. So there are counts for that japam. So anyone who chants that mantra 1 crore times gets all their sins removed and they become liberated. And even otherwise, on a regular basis, when we chant Gayatri, it creates clarity and it also creates well-being, wealth, and prosperity. So there is a small story around Brahmin who wanted to get Gayatri mantra. He wanted to specialize on Gayatri mantra. So it's called as mantra siddhi. When we chant a certain mantra over and over and over, at that point the energy of the mantra and our energy kind of combine, and then we become one with the mantra. That's called as mantra siddhi. So at that time the results manifest. So he wanted to get Gayatri mantra siddhi. So Gayatri mantra siddhi is not an easy thing. It takes a lot of practice, patience, and commitment. So this Brahmin wanted to get Gayatri mantra siddhi, and he was constantly chanting. And he chanted and chanted and chanted, but he didn't feel like he became one with the mantra. At a certain point, it became very dejecting for him. And he thought, you know what, this is useless. I've been chanting, I'm not seeing any results of this mantra. So there is no purpose for me to live anymore. So let me go jump into that well there and die, because I'm not able to get mantra siddhi. So he runs towards the well and he's about to jump into the well. Suddenly there is a voice from the well that's telling, no, 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 don't jump into this well. If you jump into this well, you will become a ghost and then you will have to roam around everywhere, and you'll always be hungry. You'll be constantly looking for what to eat, and that's the kind of afterlife you will get. So don't jump into this well. So now suddenly this Brahmin is taking a step back, and this voice has allowed him to reflect upon. And then he says, oh, that is very nice of you to warn me to stay away. That is very kind of you. And then that voice said, no, 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 I'm not being nice to you or kind to you. I was just eyeing you for a very long time because I'm constantly hungry and you seem like an easy meal. I wanted to get you, but there is some light that is not even allowing me to come anywhere close to you, and I'm not able to even see you. And when you're sitting there and doing something, I don't know, I see that you're sitting quietly, but there is this light around you that simply doesn't allow me to get anywhere. Otherwise, I've been eyeing you for a while to eat because I'm hungry. And that's when the Brahmin realized that the chanting of Gayatri mantra, even if he doesn't get mantra siddhi, is creating that shield around him that does not allow any negative forces to come near him. That is the power of Gayatri mantra, and Gayatri Devi is a giver of boons. And when we chant with commitment, with a single focus, then Gayatri will give the results. We'll look at story 2 in the next video.